Okay, let's bring in Rich Eisen from the NFL Network. Man, what a surreal day yesterday, Rich.
It's gracious. And it started out so great with the Buck signing of Eric LeGrand, which gave me goosebumps. And Greg Schiano's quote about how he couldn't help but think it was supposed to be his draft, and them doing such a classy right thing. And then the day took a turn, to say the least. You know, what a day, you're right.
An hour apart, you had, the Saints' punishment and Junior Seau killing himself. And then you had this unbelievable night last night in sports with a no-hitter, and you had 3 walk-off home runs, and Rangers Caps. I mean, it was a pretty remarkable day. But let me go back to the Saints, because we knew the punishment was coming, and we didn't know how many were going to be punished. But let me just start with Jonathan Vilma. He's down for a year.
Yeah.
What did you think the punishment was going to be?
I thought it would be half that.
Yeah, I do too.
Maybe 10. I didn't think the full year. But it's just, I had Roger Goodell on the podcast the day before the draft, and, I said, hey, listen, the players could say that this was management sanctioned. I mean, if the coaches were the ones who were running it and, as you say, putting money into it, give the sort of just following orders defense, and he immediately smacked that down. And I heard that, and as did others, and I was like, uh-oh, here comes the other shoe. And, man, did it drop yesterday. I mean, when I got the email press release and I scrolled down to see who got what, and I saw Vilma was gone for a year without pay, I let out an audible, whoa. Just as I did when I saw Sean Payton got the same penalty. And, the league is definitely going to have a fight on its hands, no question about it. And the question is how much of a fight can the NFLPA put up based on the rules of the CBA? But this thing is not going to go away. And I think we're going to definitely be still talking about this during training camp for sure, if not preseason.
Here was the thing that surprised me. Kurt Warner was on first hour, and Kurt was not interviewed by the commissioner. He was singled out in the game against the Saints. And he even said, look, I didn't see anything that was above and beyond. I felt like the Packers the previous week went after me, not the Saints. How does the commissioner not talk to Kurt Warner, and his name is actually mentioned, $10,000 for taking him out?
Well, I mean, but if you have the evidence that this was concocted and it was devised, what do you need to talk to Kurt about? I mean, seriously, Kurt, and I've spoken to Kurt about this off air, on air. He, most quarterbacks will take the approach of, well, their job is to knock me out of the game. But if there is some sort of system that's devised to put you on a cart and knock you out of the game and pay extra money, and in which there is still some evidence that people maybe outside of the organization were involved in this, the league's got to do something. I mean, what does it really matter that Kurt was like, well, yeah, they were really coming after me that day? I mean, in all honesty, if you already have the defensive coordinator copping and to it and saying, yeah, I'll accept my 1-year suspension, and the league says Anthony Hargrove signed a document saying that, yeah, this happened, what do you have to talk to?
Well, you got 50,000 pages, so you talked to a lot of different people. I would want to talk to Kurt Warner and Brett Favre and just say, what did you hear? Did you hear him say anything? Just all you're doing is getting more information here.
Sure.
So I would have had Warner in there because he said no. They didn't. Nobody was getting flagged, by the way. And maybe it helps if you're Jonathan Vilma or his agent or attorney saying, look, ask Warner. The Greg Williams put it in place, but my client didn't do anything. He didn't go out there and try to hurt Kurt Warner.
Well, you're obviously, like I said, there's going to be a fight over this. The question is how do you adjudicate it? And I would say, unfortunately, for the players involved, the person who has the final say is the man who handed down the justice, and that was something that the Players Association tried to change in last year's debacle of an off season, and couldn't or didn't or what have you, or decided to fight other battles than that one. And that's the reality of it. There were some flags thrown for it during the NFC Championship game on Favre. There's no question about that. the hit that Kurt Warner took on that interception seemed particularly violent, I think, to every human being who saw it, even though it wasn't flagged. But if they have evidence, clearly the NFL thinks they have enough evidence to pull the trigger on this, and we'll see what happens when this fight takes place, because it's coming.
He's Rich Eisen from the NFL Network. Special draft review with Mike Mayock on his podcast, available on iTunes, richeisen.nfl.com. The TV version at 1:30 Eastern on the NFL Network today. Can you waive the Hall of Fame 5 years for Junior Seau?
No. But, I mean, the rules are the rules. But clearly, I guess, 2016? That August day is going to be a melancholy one, to say the least. I mean, I don't know about you, but I will venture to say that you felt the same way, too. It just a profound sense of loss all day. I still feel it. And there are times when you just walk around and you're like, what's come over me? And then you go, oh, yeah, Junior Seau shot himself today. And it's just everybody that I came across wanted to talk about it yesterday. Utter disbelief. And I don't even know how to put it into words. I first saw him play at the 1990 Rose Bowl when I was covering the Wolverines for the Michigan Daily. It was Bo Schembechler's last game, too.
Yeah.
And there's no question who number 55 on the field was. I mean, he was absolutely a man among boys. You just couldn't help but notice him. And that was back in New Year's Day, 1990. He was 5th overall picked 4 months later, and, the rest is obviously history. He's first ballot. And I was there a couple of years ago for Reggie White's induction, and his wife stood in for him. And I don't know who's going to stand in for Junior that weekend, but it's going to be a rough weekend for whoever it is. I think Reggie White was the youngest posthumous first ballot Hall of Famer ever, and or I guess would have been. At whatever age he was inducted that weekend. And that's what it's going to be for Junior. We're just going to be shaking our heads all weekend, but, doing our damnedest to remember who he was and all the great things that he did on and off the field.
I thought of, and it might surprise you, when I first heard that Junior had taken his life, the Super Bowl, because he had his chance to finally be a winner.
Right.
And he's with the Patriots. And all they got to do is stop Eli Manning, and he's going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they're going to be undefeated. And it's going to be the perfect way to end a career. And I think that he would finally be recognized as a winner because he played great on some teams that weren't great. And that was the moment. That's the first thing I thought of. I don't know why I felt that way, but it was just that's how you want great players to go out. They're a winner. And then here at age 43.
It's just, I can't believe it. And I know there's lots of people who are playing armchair psychiatrist right now.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do it too early.
You can't, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's too early to go, oh, you know what, hey, concussions. And maybe if you're a player, and maybe with the players who will be, on the set with you at the NFL Network, maybe they can. But I'd rather be the last one to say it was connected to concussions or trauma. And, I'm fine with that. Let somebody else tweet it out.
But even if it is depression, whether it's NFL playing related or not,
it's still a tragedy.
It is horrible, and buddy Mike Silver wrote a great column on Yahoo. I don't know if you saw it or not about it. This whole thing, and it's awful, man. And I don't even, like I said, I don't even know what to say. But I still feel it. Like I woke up this morning and it just washed over me again. And I've only met him a handful of times. It's just what he did, his foundation, the work that he did in that area, and how he's viewed in that area for sure. And the other areas that he touched, South Florida, New England, it really, it just boggles the mind. And seeing his mom, and oh God,
I know,
horrible, just horrible. And I just hope that he rests in peace. Obviously.
Good to visit with you. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Take care, pal.
Rich Eisen, NFL Network podcast with the draft review with Mike Mayock. You can see the TV version at 1:30 Eastern on the NFL Network today. Yeah.